Good morning, gorgeous. Yes, you. Welcome back to Rosie Rooted and Rising. I want to begin today without urgency, without a rush to land the point, without trying to convince you of anything. If you listened to episode 5, you know we talked about what happens when nothing changes, right? And why that moment matters more than you think. We talked about releasing expectations, about the disappointments. Let me say that again. About the disappointments that come when you assume clarity will feel a certain way. About how growth doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives quietly and you don't even recognize it at first. But today is different. This episode is not about endings, it's not about limits, and it's not about acceptance. This episode is about desire. Not the loud kind, not the impulsive kind, and not the kind that comes from comparison or urgency, but the quiet, steady knowing that something more is calling you. And before your mind jumps in, before it starts organizing reasons, responsibilities, logics, or explanations, I want you to say this plainly. You are allowed to want more. Come on, girls, repeat it after me. You are allowed to want more without building a case for it. Not because something is wrong, not because you're ungrateful, not because you're dissatisfied, simply because wanting is information. And many of us, especially women over 50, wanting has been treated like a problem to solve instead of a signal to listen to. We were taught to be responsible, to be realistic, to be grateful for what we have, to not ask for too much, to not disrupt the peace. So when desire shows up, real desire, we often rush to silence it. We explain it away. We minimize it, because that's what women do. We negotiate with it. We say things like, I should be happy with this. Other people would love this life. Or, it's fine, it's good enough. But desire doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It just gets quieter. And that quiet doesn't bring peace. It brings restlessness. This episode is not asking you to change anything. It's not asking you to make a decision. It's not asking you to blow up your life. It's simply asking you to stop dismissing the signal. For a long time, I believed wanting more meant I was unhappy with what I had. I thought if I was truly healed, truly grounded, truly grateful, I wouldn't feel the pull towards something else. Wanting more felt like I was missing the point of where I already was. Like if I'd really done the work, I wouldn't still be looking ahead, right? But here's what I understand now. Desire is not a complaint. It's a signal. It tells you where your energy wants to move next. And when you've spent years surviving, stabilizing, holding things together, desire doesn't come in loudly. It comes in quietly, almost politely. Like it doesn't want to disrupt the peace you work so hard to build. It shows up as a thought you don't finish, a curiosity you don't follow, a sentence you swallow before it reaches your mouth. And because it's subtle, we tell ourselves it must not matter. But ignoring desire doesn't make you noble, it makes you restless. Restlessness is what happens when growth energy has nowhere to go. And many women mistake that restlessness for dissatisfaction, when in reality, it's readiness. Readiness doesn't always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels confusing. And sometimes it just feels like more is possible, and you don't know what to do with that information yet. And that's okay, sis. Desire doesn't demand immediate action, it asks for acknowledgement. Wanting more becomes uncomfortable when we believe it requires justification. We start interrogating ourselves. Shouldn't this be enough? Who am I to want more? What will people think? Do I deserve this? We turn desire into a debate. But notice something important. We rarely interrogate wanting less. No one asks you to justify rest. No one asks you to defend simplicity. No one questions downsizing or letting go. But expansion? Expansion makes people nervous. Not because desire is wrong, but because growth disrupts expectations, especially expectations that other people have of you. When you want more, you change the story people thought they understood. And that can feel threatening, not just to them, but to you too, sis. Because wanting more often means you'll need to sit with unanswered questions. And you don't like unanswered questions, do you now? We like clarity. We like timelines. We like plans. Desire doesn't always give you those things up front. Sometimes it just says, pay attention here. At some point, I stopped explaining my wants. And I don't mean to other people, I mean to myself. I noticed how quickly I tried to turn desire into a presentation, how fast I reached for logic, timing, or responsibility to make it acceptable. I would ask, is this reasonable? Does this make sense? Is this practical right now? And what I realized was this: I wasn't trying to understand my desire, I was trying to negotiate it down. When I stopped doing this, something unexpected happened. There was quiet. No replacement plan, no immediate clarity, and no new answer rushing in. Just quiet. And in that quiet, I realized I wasn't confused. I was just used to negotiating with myself, used to minimizing what I wanted so I didn't have to deal with the implications. That's when desire stopped feeling reckless and started feeling honest. Desire doesn't always say, do this now. Sometimes it says, this matters. Sometimes it says, you've outgrown something. And sometimes it says, you're ready for a different quality of life. Let me say that last one again. Sometimes it says, you're ready for a different quality of life. When you don't rush it, you don't suppress it. Desire becomes guidance, not pressure. And that's a very different experience. Let's make this practical, okay? Because this isn't abstract. At work, wanting more doesn't mean quitting tomorrow. That would be ridiculous, right? It might mean redefining what fulfillment looks like now. It might mean noticing that success without satisfaction isn't actually success anymore. In relationships, wanting more doesn't mean dissatisfaction. It might mean you're ready for depth, not proximity, for fewer surface connections, and for more honest ones. In leadership, wanting more doesn't mean ambition run wild. It might mean alignment matters more than approval now. And in your personal life, wanting more simply mean you're done shrinking your preferences to stay comfortable. Let me say that again. And in your personal life, wanting more might simply mean you're done shrinking your preferences to stay comfortable, girl. Here's the truth we don't say enough. You don't owe anyone a narrative that makes your desire palatable. Not every want needs a mission statement. Some wants are allowed to exist without explanation. This distinction matters. Wanting is quiet, chasing is anxious. Wanting listens, chasing proves. Wanting trusts timing, chasing forces outcomes. I've learned I can always tell when I'm chasing instead of wanting. My body knows before my mind does. Chasing feels tight. It feels like I need an answer, a response, or a result right now. Wanting doesn't do that. Wanting feels steady, even when it doesn't have a plan yet. And when I'm honest with myself, the things that lasted in my life were never the ones I forced. They were the ones I allowed to unfold once I stopped rushing them. If something feels frantic, it's not desire, it's pressure. If something feels steady, even undefined, that's desire. This week, I want you to sit with these questions I'm going to ask. No, ladies, they're not homework. Number 1, what do I want without explaining it? Number 2, where have I been minimizing desire so I don't have to answer questions? 3, what feels expansive, not urgent? Number 4, if no one needed to understand this next chapter, what would I allow myself to want? And this one, ladies, number 5, what if wanting more isn't a problem, but a sign I'm ready? You don't have to move yet. You just have to stop dismissing the signal. You don't need permission to want more. You don't need evidence. You don't need consensus. And you don't need to outgrow where you are to imagine where you're going. Desire doesn't demand action. It asks for honesty. And honesty, when you honor it, changes the direction of your life quietly, steadily, and on your own terms. So you're not late. You're not behind, girl. And you're not asking for too much. You're just listening to who you're becoming. And that's how forward motion actually begins. Until next time, sis y hermana, stay rooted, stay blessed, and keep rising. New episodes every Monday morning.